Hi all, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about cloud computing concept. Now there might be a lot of question you all have like what exactly the cloud means, what is the cloud computing and how it came, how it works exactly, what are the different type of services cloud have. So those all your questions we will be going to discuss in this video. So in today's video we are going to talk about what is cloud computing, what are the different services of clouds. Even we are going to talk in this video that what are the different or what are the advantages of our cloud. So these all things we are going to discuss in our this video. So let's start with our cloud part. So the question came into the mind, many of you might have a question like what exactly the cloud means, why we are using, was that a cloud which we can see in a sky, was that this. So what is cloud exactly? So the cloud means what, guys? So let's take an example. We all aware about our Gmail, like everyone will have nowadays the Gmail account or your mail accounts you have. Now on this Gmail we do have one drive attached with it. What's that drive means exactly? So on that particular drive we were going to store our documents, maybe you can even upload your videos, any particular images. Not a lot of people were share the images via their Google drives. Even you can upload the songs and many more things we can do with this Google drive. So or any drive you can take an example. So on this drive, as we are going to store this many particular data, so I have a question for you. As we are going to upload this all data, let's suppose to be I have uploaded maybe my resume, then my certain documents, my certificates that I have uploaded on Drive. Then even I uploaded certain videos and images. Now the question came here is, suppose this all data I have uploaded via my mobile device. Now, the question here is, can I access this particular data with the help of any particular PCs, any desktops, or any tab systems? Can I access that data? Is it possible? The data, the documentation which I have uploaded via mobile device, can I fetch it through my PC, through my tablets? Is it possible to access it? And the answer is yes, we can do that. We can access this all things by using any particular system. Doesn't matter from which particular application you have uploaded and from which particular system or the which particular resource you are going to access, you are trying to access that resource. That doesn't matter. All that matter is what, if you want to fetch anything from your drive where you have uploaded your data. So to fetch anything from that, you need a proper internet connection. If you have a good internet connectivity, then of course you will be able to fetch this all data. Doesn't matter from which particular device you are trying to fetch it. So the data which we are uploading via internet connectivity and we are trying to fetch it, doesn't matter from which particular device, from which location, which place, not at all matter. All that matter is a very good internet connectivity. That's it. So if you are able to fetch that data with a good internet connectivity, that means the data which I have stored on my drive, definitely that is not on my local system. So because if it is on my local system, that means to fetch that data which is there in the local system, you have to use the same device. But as the data is not on local system, then where exactly it is? So it is on drive, meaning on a remote location. So that drive which is not actually on your local system, that is not storing your data on the local system, that is actually stored on the remote location. Now what does that remote location? So the remote location means what? That is also one kind of server. Only the thing is what? That server we are able to fetch with the help of internet connectivity. The server is there somewhere on the different location. We will be able to fetch that server by using a good internet connectivity. So if you have a good internet connectivity and with that connectivity, any application, anything you are, any particular documentation part, if you are able to fetch, meaning that particular data is stored on a server, on a remote server, and that remote server, that remote location is called as your cloud. That is what actually the cloud means. Clear? That is what your cloud means. So cloud means what exactly? The data which we can store on remote location. the data which we can store on the server. So that is our storage area actually. The cloud is what? Our storage area where we can store, we can keep our data on remote location. So let's, that is what the cloud. I hope it's clear everyone. So it is simply, we can say in simple way, we can say it is a storage or the we can say the server area where your data can be stored, or the documentation, your application you can run, but that storage or that server area should be accessible over the internet. You should have a good internet connectivity. So it's a storage area where we can store the data. That is what your cloud, and that everything will be stored over the internet. That is what our cloud is. Now let's come to the next part, that is cloud computing. So what is cloud computing? So just now as we have discussed, like on the cloud we will be able to store our data, we can store our document, we can store our videos, audio files, anything, any data which you would like to access at any point of time, that all data we can store. So meaning we can create a new data on the cloud on your server. Even we can update the particular data. If a specific data we don't want, that data we can even move. We can remove that particular data. So the different variety of operation we will be able to perform on our cloud. That is on a remote server. So when we are performing this different variety of operation, so to perform the certain updates, to execute any application even on your remote locations, we can even execute nowadays, we can execute the applications on remote location. And the importantly, to fetch this cloud you don't need any specific device. On any devices, doesn't matter if you if I have uploaded from mobile, that means doesn't matter that you have to fetch it from mobile. No, you can fetch it from any other device. So even if you upload it from mobile, you can access that data from your personal computers or any other tabs, laptops, iPhones, iPads, any, from any other device. You will be able to fetch that particular data. So no restriction on devices. All that matter is a good internet connectivity. If you have a good internet connection, that's it. That is enough. So if you have a good internet connection, you will be able to fetch that data without any interruption from any location, from any devices, no matter. So that is what your cloud computing. So the operation which we are performing on our cloud, the services which has been provided via the cloud, and even to maintain your data on the cloud, we don't have to put lot of efforts, we don't have to implement any kind of thing. That entire thing will be taken care by the that remote location server. That cloud will take care about all the security, all the maintenance, everything. You just need to go and upload your data. Any changes if you want to perform, that you can perform. If anything you don't want, you can remove that. So that stuff you can do, but the maintenance you don't have to worry about that. So that all thing will be take care by the cloud, and that concept is called as cloud computing. So what is cloud computing? So as we are moving on the cloud, we can run our application on the cloud, we can store data on cloud, we can even run the application, and even we can move the, or we can move to the cloud, multiple things. So that is what actually the cloud computing means. So in a simple manner I can say, any particular application or any operation which we are performing on the cloud without putting any efforts, no need to manage it, no need to maintain it, just you have to put it, you can run application, you can move, or you can store that data on the cloud. And that entire process which you can perform on the cloud with a good internet connectivity, it's called as a cloud computing. Okay, so from any device we can do that, from any device we can do that with a good internet connectivity. That is what your cloud is. That's it. That is all about the cloud computing. And to work on cloud, we don't have to put any kind of efforts, no efforts we are putting. So it doesn't require any efforts to manage. And importantly, now when we are working on the cloud, guys, we know on the drive we have the 15 GB. By default it gives us the 15 GB. So max 15 GB data we can upload on our drive. What if mine requirement is I have a data which requires 20 GB? How I can upload that data? Because the default size of my drive is 15 GB. How I can go for the 20 GB data? Then the solution would be, for this the solution would be, you can request or you can demand that extra memory, and for that memory you can pay the specific amount. But how much amount? So it is according to your requirement. So if I need more 5 GB, so only that much amount you have to pay, and that data you can utilize, and that you can utilize for a specific time period. So suppose you might ask them to, okay, for next 3 months I would like to need 5 more GB. So on 15 GB they will give you the 5 plus 5 GB. So 20 GB, so that is enough for you. So for next 3 months, for the 5 GB, the extra 5 GB, you have to pay the amount. So on demand, you can increase the size from 15 to 20. You can increase the size, you can grow in the size. And after 3 months, if you thought now, okay, I don't want it, then it will be again come back to the 15. So on demand you can grow and shrink the size of your cloud. On demand it can be happen. So on demand we can grow or shrink the size of our clouds. Uh, that is what our cloud computing. So the things which we can perform on the cloud, that is what our cloud computing. So cloud computing is what, where it can gives us the infinite size in with respect to the memory. We don't have to put any kind of efforts to maintain the data on cloud, as we can only store. The security, the maintenance, everything will be taken care by that particular remote location area. We don't have to worry about that. That is what your cloud computing. Okay, now let's move to the next part, guys. Let me adjust it. Okay, now let's talk about, okay, before we'll go to the advantages of this part, let's talk about the history. Let's talk about the history of cloud computing. Now what's that history, when it came actually, when it came, and how it becomes too popular for this. So that all things we will be going to discuss in this cloud computing part. So the history of cloud computing, what exactly that cloud computing means. So let me draw. Okay, so around in the year of 1960s, around in the year of 1960, the internet has its root in market. In the year of 1960, the internet has its roots in market. So in the year of 1960s, the internet has its roots in market. But as we all know, whenever any application came into the market, okay, immediately they won't have any kind of they don't have that much demand until and unless the people are not aware about exact use or the benefit of that particular things. So the same way, internet has its root in 1960s, but in the around in the year of 1990, they have, or the business peoples are started thinking about it. They started to use that particular concept in their business or in their application, in their particular companies. The organization thought that they should use that. So in the year of 1999, sorry, in the year of 1990, in the year of 1990, the people were started thinking of it, and they have the business relevance. So the internet was business relevance since 1990. Now post 1990, as it is a business relevance, so around or after 1 year we can say, that means in 1991, the www, that is World Wide Web, was born. Because without that, how we can work with the internet, how our applications will run on the internet. So that World Wide Web was born in the year of 1991. And as our application should be accessible, we should access our web pages, our particular audio, videos, images, that all things we should be access, we should be fetched via our internet. So for that we need a application, we need a platform, so that entire thing we are actually able to fetch with the help of browsers, with the help of browser. So the very first browser which help us to display or load our pages on the internet. So in the year of 1993, the web browser was introduced called as Mosaic. The web browser was introduced called as Mosaic. So this web browser was introduced to allows the user to display the text, to display certain graphics, images on the web pages over the internet. So for that, the web browser was introduced in 1993, called as Mosaic. So this is what the history of our internets. Now, as the web browser is there, and then businesses were started using this particular internet, or they started implementing the application. So a lot of applications was there in between that period. Now let's talk about the client server application. What do you mean by a client server application? Let's take an example. um, During your colleges, suppose in your college, or maybe in your school days even, let's suppose to be the teacher wants to share one particular application or one case study with you all. So when they want to share a case study or an application with you all, so that document, that data, they are going to upload on one system in a lab, and the other system which are connected with that particular server, those all systems are able to access that particular data from the server by entering that path. So only one server is there, only one server is there, and from that server, the client, the machines which are connected with that particular server, they all are able to fetch that data, and that way within a lab you will be able to fetch that document on that lab systems. But it is accessible to the lab system. Outside the lab system, if you try to fetch it on your mobile device, is it possible, guys? Is it possible? Will that be loaded? Of course not. So the data, the document which we have loaded on our local, or on our the client machines which is connected with that server, so that particular data only fetchable on that client systems, not on the other outside systems, not even your mobile or even your personal computer, personal systems. It's not possible. That data won't be get loaded. It is only loaded to their client servers, only the client system. So only those particular system will be able to access that data. So the client server architecture was there, but the problem is what, outside the lab we can't fetch that data anywhere, not even the our personal computer. In that case, later on, the demand was there to be having a concept where we can fetch a data from a remote location. In the sense, only one server should be there, and from that server the data should be accessible anywhere. But how the data can be accessible anywhere? For that, you should have a good internet connectivity. So if you have a good internet connectivity, so with that good internet connectivity, data can be accessible anywhere. Once you enter that particular URL address, anywhere on any device the data can be accessible, even if it is not connected with the your that server. So for that, the cloud computing concept was introduced. So because of that, your client server application, or even later on the distributed computing application was also came into the picture. But for them the connectivity was required. So to overcome that problem, only with a proper internet connectivity, we need to fetch the data. Doesn't matter they are fetching or accessing the data from which location, from which place, doesn't matter. Even they don't require any kind of connectivity, only just a internet. Via internet, by entering that IP address, they should be able to access that particular data from the server. So that is what your cloud computing is. That is what actually the fetching the data from cloud. That is what actually we are fetching the data from cloud. And as the data we are fetching from the cloud, so later on as time passes, the technology caught, and they have ideas where they can implement a lot of applications which can be easily accessed via internet connectivity. So in that, in the year of 1999, in the year of 1999, the cloud computing based technology was came into the market, and that technology name was, in the year of 1999, the cloud computing based technology was came into the market, and that technology, that company who brought that technology is your Salesforce. The company name is salesforce.com. That company came into the market. In detail about salesforce.com we will talk in the upcoming video. So that 1999 the salesforce.com was there. After that, in around the year of 2002, the another company launched their cloud product, that is Amazon has launched AWS, that is Amazon Web Services. And then in the year of 2009, in the year of 2009, Google also came into the picture, and they has introduced the Google Apps. They has introduced the Google Apps. So this is how the cloud computing has been emerged, and as the technology grows, as the time flies, this particular companies has emerged with or has implemented their application, started with the cloud computing. They have started implementing their business via cloud computing. Now, what is salesforce.com and all that we will discuss definitely in the upcoming videos. Now let's talk about the another part, that is the advantages of cloud. Now, what are the advantages of clouds? So, to talk about advantages, as we have already discussed about the cloud part, as we can have the, on the cloud, you just need to go and upload or update your existing data or remove anything from the cloud. So, you doesn't need to take any kind of efforts. So, no efforts for the cloud. You does not need any efforts to maintain the data, to maintain the security on cloud. That is taken care by the cloud itself. So that is the one advantage of cloud, that you don't have to put any kind of effort. Secondly, as I said, the 15 GB is by default given, suppose for your Google Drive. More than that, or less than that, if you anytime you want to grow and shrink on demand, you can change the memory. So there won't, you don't have to worry about you might run out of memory and that kind of thing. So it is infinite in size. On demand, you can grow and shrink your size. So that is what, it is infinite in size. That is another advantage of your cloud. And the third advantage is, doesn't matter from which particular device you have uploaded the document. You can fetch it from any other device, from any location, from any place. So from anywhere, from any location, any device, you can able to fetch the document or data. There won't be any dependency. All you require is what? A good internet connectivity. That's it. So from anywhere you can access that document, that data. So these are the advantages of our clouds. These are the advantages of cloud. And now let's talk about the services of cloud. What are the different services provided by the cloud? So cloud provide the three type of services, namely the SaaS service. Now what does that SaaS service mean? So SaaS means what, guys, exactly? The SaaS. So SaaS, it stands for software as a service. Now what does that software as a service? So software as a service meaning what? There you don't need to install anything in your system. You don't have to install anything. What does that mean? Suppose if you want to implement the Java application, or if you want to work with the Java coding, you must have to install the JDK software, right? It is mandatory to install the JDK software. If you want to work on the SQL, so for the SQL you have to install that SQL server. That SQL server needs to be installed in your local system. Then only you will be able to implement the application in that or with the help of this technologies. But the cloud means what? On the cloud, the software is already installed. You just have a good internet connectivity. You should aware about that path. So you can simply go to the cloud, and there itself nothing will happen on your local system. Nothing will happen on your local system. Everything will be happen on the cloud itself. So you don't require any installation, no software, no hardware requirement on your local system. Everything will be there on the cloud. All you need is a good internet connectivity. If you have a good internet connectivity, that's all. That entire implementation, everything, that development, that particular software or that application, you can simply connect with the internet, access that particular URL, and there on the cloud itself you can do the changes. Nothing will be happen on your local system. Everything will be worked on the cloud. That is what your SaaS. So SaaS, it is a software as a service. What does that SaaS means? Software as a service. Software as a service. So in this software as a service, everything will be maintained on a cloud. So your application, you don't have to install a software or application. It is available over the internet. That is SaaS. No need of any hardware or software configuration. Nothing you have to install, nothing you have to manage. All that you need is, you have to pay per use. What does that pay per use means? Whatever or how much data you use from the cloud, that much amount you have to pay. pay. That is what the cloud computing feature actually. So those all features are associated with their services. So that all things you have to, or that all things are applicable on the services. So you have to pay per use, and with respect to your need you can immediately grow or shrink the capacity. That means infinite in size, instant scalability they can provide you. And all the cloud applications, they have their own security implementation that is by default applicable to that software. And that everything, all services has been delivered through browser. That is what your SaaS. Now the example for SaaS is, so let's talk about which all companies or the organizations were using, or they have the roots on SaaS. They have their applications on SaaS. So for example, the Salesforce.com is a part of our SaaS. The Salesforce.com is a part of SaaS. Microsoft OneDrives, our OneDrives is a part of Microsoft OneDrive is the part of SaaS. Zoho CRM is the part of SaaS. Then even our Google Workspace, that is also the part of our SaaS. That means you don't have to, or you don't need to install anything in your local system. Everything will be there on the cloud. You just need to have a good internet connectivity and that URL. Go to that URL and work on that URL with a good internet connection. No software, no hardware requirement for your local system. That is what your software as a service on cloud. The another service provided by our cloud is PaaS. What does that PaaS meaning? So PaaS means platform as a service. Now what does that platform? So platform meaning what exactly? As we all know, to, like for an example, if you wanted to implement a Java application, then we have to install the JDK, and even we can work on the, sorry, we can work on the Eclipse or your NetBeans. So those are the frameworks, and on that you can do the implementation, right? So platform means your framework. So, and why these frameworks are required? To perform the development. So yes, your guess is correct. The PaaS will help you to do the development on cloud. So with a good internet connectivity without any software hardware requirement on your local system, nothing is required. All that required is what? A good internet connectivity. Go to that specific URL and there you can perform the implementation. There you can develop your code. The application can be developed, so the framework will be provided over the cloud. That is what platform. So any platform where we can develop the code is available over the internet. It's called as a PaaS. That is called as a PaaS. That is what your PaaS. And for that PaaS, the example for this PaaS would be your Google Cloud Platform, IBM Cloud, Force.com to develop your Salesforce codings, Microsoft Azure. So these are the examples for your platform as a service. And at last we have the another service, that is our IaaS. What does that IaaS mean? So it is infrastructure as a service. Now what does that infrastructure as a service? So infrastructure as a service means what exactly? For an example, suppose you wanted to start up a small organization. So when you wanted to start up an organization, suppose you totally you all are the 5 team members. Now for this 5 team members, you need the 5 system, at least minimum 5 systems you required, right? Then for those all 5 systems you need the genuine softwares for the development purpose, and then electricity bill would be there, another maintenance charges, the security guard, and everything you required to start up with a smaller organization. And you have to spend certain amount to purchase or to work on this particular things. So in that case, instead of spending with a smaller organization and with a startup business, instead of spending for your infrastructure, let's have it over the internet. So the infrastructure as a service means what exactly? That infrastructure will be available over the internet. So this infrastructure as a service, it provides the on demand access of computing resources. So whatever the computing resources we required, those are available on demand. That is called as infrastructure as a service. And this model is also called as this infrastructure, this IaaS service, this is also called as a pay as you go model. So whatever the number of, suppose 5 members was there, then the team size will grow and it becomes 10. You can on demand, you can demand that more infrastructure, and on that you can assign. Suppose again 3 members were left the job, Okay, out of 10 members, 3 members left the job. If you have purchased, then those three system will be waste, your money will be waste. So better you can release those resources. As you release the resources, you don't have to pay for those resources. So when the smaller business startups are there, so better to go for the IS, that is infrastructure as a service, where they can provide the resources like servers, they can provide you the networking, storages and virtualization. This kind of things, this kind of resources they were providing. And this infrastructure, to maintain this particular infrastructure or their particular service, we don't have to maintain it. They have their own data centers to maintain that, so we doesn't require any maintenance. We don't need to worry about the maintenance. The IaaS will take care, they have their own data centers to worry to take care about their infrastructure. That is all about the services of cloud computing. And at last, let's talk about the concept or the features of cloud computing, the last part of our cloud computing, that is features of cloud computing. Now, what are the different features of cloud computing, guys? So, in the cloud computing, we do have the features like multi-tenancy, that is also called as a multi-tenant. That is one, the multi-tenant. Then the another feature of our cloud computing is pay per use, and the next would be your scalable. Now, let's talk about first multi-tenant. What does that multi-tenant means? Now, the tenant. What does that tenant means, guys? So, tenant in the sense the thing which or the place or the thing which we have given on the rental basis. So, the person who take the things on rental basis, that is the tenant. The person, suppose the flat system is there or the apartment would be there, on the apartment is of 3 floors, okay, and the top 2 floors will be given on the rental basis. So the people who are staying on the rental basis, those are the tenants. So assume that the 4 tenants are there, 4 flats are there in the apartment, okay. So number, if we can count, so there were total 4 tenants available in that apartment. Now for those 4 tenants, there is a common water supply. The common water tank would be there, and from that common water tank, the water supply will be provided. Apart from that, there is one common electricity meter, and from that common electricity meter, the electricity would be provided on the floors. The floor lights, that common electricity meter would be there for the floor lights. If the elevator is there, so for that elevator, so common electricity meter, the parking lights, so for that the common electricity meter would be there. Now, as the things are common for all these 2 floors, if the water tank supply or even electricity is common, so it should be divided to all these particular peoples as in tenants. So similarly, as with relate to this example, if we talk about the cloud computing or if we talk about our technological world, so in the technology, as the multiple peoples are fetching the data from the cloud, multiple peoples every day are fetching the same application from the cloud, so they all should get that equal instance or proper instance for that particular single application. So a single application, like for example, your we- WhatsApp or Instagram, so you can access it through the web. So once you are accessing it via the web, so whenever you are fetching it, everyone will get those all features. Everyone will get their all features. So single application accessed by multiple peoples, multi-tenant, multi-tenant. So the multi-tenant is an application, or we can say an architecture, where application one common application is available for multiple users, multiple clients, or a group of users, I can say. So when a single application from the same server is accessed by multiple peoples or the group of users, so that is called as a multi-tenancy. That feature is called as the multi-tenancy. So that is what the feature of cloud computing, multi-tenant. I hope it's clear. So when a common resource has been accessed by a multiple users or the group of users, it's called as a multi-tenancy. That feature is called as multi-tenancy. Now, the another feature is pay per use. So as I said, the 15 GB is by default assigned to the Google Drive. More than that, if you want, suppose there were different users. Now the first user, they required 30 GB. The another user requires 20 GB. Suppose the another user requires 20 GB, and there is one more user who requires 50 GB. So with respect to their demand, with respect to their requirement, only that much amount they have to pay. The 50 GB and 30 GB, these two people doesn't have to pay the same amount. Definitely they have to pay the different amount as their requirement varies. Same with this person. So A, B, C require the more GBs, more data, more memory on the cloud for the storage. They wanted to increase the memory, so they will request, they will ask the that particular respective members that we need this much memory for this much time period. And with respect to that, it is going to be increased. The size will going to be increased for that much time period. After that, it will be again back to the default memory. So you can grow the size, you can on demand, you can request, and whatever the request you made, with respect to that request only you have to pay that much amount only, according to or with respect to your use. So pay per use, whatever the things you are using, only that much amount you have to pay. That is what pay per use. And scalable means what? On demand, you are increasing the capacity, the size. On demand, you are increasing the size of your memory. So on demand you can grow or shrink the capacity, the size. That is called as a scalable. So these are the features of cloud computing. And that's all about our cloud computing, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Please put the comments in the chat. I will definitely answer all your questions. Thank you for watching video, and if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe. Thank you.